Hello, and welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast. Today's episode is all about creating more world peace, which starts with creating more peace within our inner selves. And from that will transcend into the greater frequency and vibration of the entire planet. Today, I interview Oluwa Adams. He is a psychologist, philosopher, meditative presence teacher, and an author. And together, we discuss ideas around what is causing so much disruption and violence in today's world and how to create more world peace. What barriers are we to become aware of and break through for ultimate peace within? We touch on a variety of topics such as politics, poverty, capitalism, religion, shamanism, tantra, yoga, meditation, and so much more. You can find Oluwa Adams on Facebook at Oluwa Adams or simply on his website, which I have copied and pasted in the show notes so you can check out his work there. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Hello, Oluwa. Welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. First question I have for you today. In a brief answer, can you tell us what elevates your soul?
What elevates my soul? That's a big question, but it can be said very simply. It is love and presence.
Yep.
Love and presence.
Presence as in with a C, not an S.
Yeah, with a C, yeah, presence, because I like to keep things very simple. A lot of teachers and paths, they make things a little complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta do this. And for me, there are many, many paths, but as far as I'm concerned, they basically lead to deepening into presence, into the present moment. There are so many paths, yoga, tantra, so many modalities, right?
Yeah.
But they all bring us to the here and now, into presence, and of course, into love, what I call the oceanic love.
Yeah.
Not just romantic love, not just friendship love, but the love that includes the whole of existence. That's what the past.
I love that. I would call that alignment as well. Like, I love the word love, but definitely like being in the present moment and aligning your spirit with your dharma. Or
Absolutely.
can you tell us about your story and how you got to where you are today?
It is really quite a journey. Um, I was always a bit of a weird child, like even at a young age, I was always very concerned with the purpose of life, why are we here, what is the point of being alive,
Yeah.
and all those kind of things. So when I turned, I think around 12 years old, it became like a big conundrum for me. Like I had this feeling that I'm gonna die in my sleep. It was just so strange. And I told my mom, I'm gonna die in my sleep. She said, don't say that. But I said, but I feel that,
Yeah.
And it caused for me a huge existential crisis for me. Huge. It just made me say, I have to figure out what goes beyond death. I need to experience this. If there's anything beyond death, I cannot wait. I need to experience. If there's anything like immortality, I'm not I don't have a lot of interest in theory. I'm very experiential. It has to be experienced and known. So after a few years, to me, it became like a do or die. I need to find a guru, some teacher to show me if there's anything beyond life
Just
uh,
living.
as, as we know it,
Yeah.
as we know it. So In my meditation experience, I experienced the what I could call the cos universal beingness. I saw it. Anyway, it was such a huge experience seeing the source. What I in my teachings I call it the ninth dimension now. That's what I call it, man. It's
Okay.
like it's the source of the cosmos, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a very powerful experience. Of course, you have to come back in the body,
Yeah.
and but what I realized after the experience was this state never left me. It kept expanding. I would go into these huge states of bliss and this oneness. It just never left. It's
Right.
always been there ever since. It's been expanding. And I've had a lot more experiences after that.
Yeah.
But that was the first, what I call significant experience that really, I would say, I would call my first significant awakening, whatever you want to call it, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's been expanding since then. I've been embodying it and expanding and expanding. And so I began to teach, help people to know and realize who they are. Because in my view, it's not enough to just know oneself spiritually or on a soul level. It's also helpful to know oneself psychologically. So
Yeah.
I also teach people personality types, their various modalities, because all those things come into play in
Yeah.
terms of knowing oneself. Healer and mystic and spiritual teacher, to me, they are different but also connected.
Yes, they are. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about world peace. What do you think are the major barriers to achieving world peace?
There are many ways to answer that, but one of the core things that I often tell people is humanity there are two viruses that has infested humanity. One of them is a lack of love. Lack of love. And when I say love, I don't mean like romantic love or there's a lot of that. Romantic love, people love one person, they love as a mother for their child, the love of a partner, all kinds of. But the love I'm talking about transcends this. It is a love of the spirit, of the soul. People have become very stingy with their love.
Mhm.
Stingy. There's this idea that comes from religions and it comes from romantic novels that you only love one person or you love only your children. That's too limited. People have to expand their heart to embrace as much people as possible. That's part of what's missing on this planet. Whatever we see in the news media expresses what is happening to people in their inner psyche.
Yeah.
You know, like when people are feeling left out, not loved by their community, they feel alone, they act out.
Yeah.
They really, it's almost like they want to show people what it feels to be in pain.
Do you want
So
to
they,
give us an example of that?
well, some of the so-called shooters that are committing these atrocities, oftentimes there are people that are ostracized, they don't feel loved, they've been hurt, they have trauma from past lives, I mean from childhood. They are people in pain, emotional pain. Who wants to go out there shooting people or hurting people if they're feeling love?
Yeah.
Who wants to do that? But when somebody is in pain, they feel alone, they feel ostracized, or they've been traumatized, they've been hurt, they make big statements, and the way they do it is they go out there and they act crazy.
Yeah.
And I am not just talking about the shooters, I'm including even politicians and so-called world leaders. A lot of these people say, oh, we need to put them in jail. To me, they deserve love too.
Yeah.
And a lot of what they're doing is because they are not conscious. They are not conscious. So when we want to love, and send healing energy, we have to include our politicians. We have to include the so-called global leaders, so-called religious leaders,
Yeah.
and people that are into so-called conspiracy theories. Send energy. I don't care. Even the Illuminati, send love to them too.
Yeah.
Because whatever they're doing is because they don't know better.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. People act based on their level of consciousness.
Yeah. So true.
That's what it is. They can't help, they cannot act any different.
And do you feel like love and consciousness are intertwined then?
Oh yeah. In my teachings, what I say there are definitely, generally speaking, two paths. There's what I call masculine and the feminine. Again, when I say masculine, it doesn't mean has to do with a man,
Right.
or feminine with a woman. There
So
are,
like a
let me,
yin and a yang.
let me clarify this. Everybody has both within them,
Yeah.
but in every soul, every spirit, they lean more towards one than the other. We're just born a certain way,
Yeah.
and it's perfect. It's people talk about being balanced. Balance means you go to what's natural for you. That's what
Balance for
balance
everybody is
means.
going to look different as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not balance doesn't mean 50-50. It means
Yeah.
you go to whatever is natural for you.
Yeah.
That is balance. So in that regards, what I call the masculine is consciousness. The masculine likes to get more and more conscious, more and more conscious, more and more conscious. And the feminine wants to expand its love to include more and more, more and more. So the whole galaxy is included.
Yeah.
Those are the two modalities. So some people on their spiritual path, they get very conscious, but they are lacking in love. And some people on their spiritual path are very full of love. Their heart is very open, but they're not very conscious.
Right.
So both have to get together. That's what I call the inner divine marriage.
Yeah.
Okay. So the outer marriage is just a social contract. What matters is for one to attain and experience the inner marriage of one's two halves within oneself. Everybody contains their own inner twin flame.
Yeah.
It's not out there, it is inside.
I love that. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Do you think we can end world suffering with our current political system and capitalist society setup?
Okay, let me say this. I love capitalism personally. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't say anything wrong in capitalism.
Yep.
What most people think of as capitalism is not capitalism. What is happening in America right now and in a lot of countries throughout the world is nothing but monetarism. It is not capitalism. There's a big difference. Let me clarify this. Monetarism has to do with Federal Reserve and the central banks printing money out of thin air and lending it to governments, right? And
Yeah.
when I say government, I'm talking about you and I, taxpayers. That's what is going on.
Yeah.
Every American is born basically with about $30,000, something like that, in debt. Why is
Okay.
this happening? Because the central banks in America, we call it the Federal Reserve, and I could get in trouble for saying this, but I don't care. This has to be shared. People have to know this fact, okay? These so-called central bankers and the Federal Reserve, they are not federal. They are private entities. They are owned by international bankers. So, for example, Greece recently had a lot of trouble like 2-3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And people, what's happening is these international bankers that run these international financial entities, they are bankrupting countries. Whereas capitalism is beautiful. What does that mean? It means you are a creator of capital. When somebody owns a small business or even a big business and you're producing wealth that benefits your community, benefits your environment, benefits your city state, that is beautiful. How can anyone be against that? You are hiring people People are thriving in your community. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
We need more and more of that.
But we need the people who have these big businesses to, as you said, help the community.
Absolutely.
And that's just what's not happening right now.
It's all about money right now. Money, people are, and I'm not against money. I love money, don't get me wrong. But the Wall Street entities, the people, all they care about is just money. They are not interested in creating wealth.
Yeah.
Wealth benefits people. These entities, companies, international companies, they're just all about profit. They don't care about the community. They don't care about people.
Yes.
And in America, since the 70s, America has been deindustrialized, and I'm pretty sure many countries throughout the world that's happened to them.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason for that is they took all these companies, they took a lot of them to China. It's all about money. Okay,
Yeah.
whereas a true capitalist, you keep your factory, you keep the industry, your business in the communities. Because when you keep them in your communities, you hire people thrive, people become happier, they're working. Otherwise, if it's all about the money, the corporations only care about the money and they don't care about the community or making people thrive.
Yeah.
So I often in my teachings, I make it very clear the difference between capitalism and monetarism. What is happening in the world is monetary. People are suffering so much poverty. Is this world, there's so much wealth that can be created that people can be thriving.
Yeah.
There's no need for poverty
There's enough
anymore.
food and enough money to go around, right?
Yeah, of course,
There's still so many people starving.
because it's intended to be like that. That's why. I know people are going to call me conspiracy theory, but I don't care.
Yeah.
The truth has to be spoken. Okay? People shouldn't believe me. Let them do their own research.
What do you mean by it? It's intended to be like that.
The religions are very much in the business of suffering. A lot of religions. A lot of companies, you see, when people are thriving, when they're happy, when people are doing well, they doing well economically, and they're growing spiritually. Who wants to go to the church? But when they're suffering, when they're poor, the first place they're going to run to are the churches.
Yeah.
That's part of why the religious, a lot of them, they don't want people to be deeply into spirituality or to be abundant.
Right.
Because it's bad for the priests. Who's going to go to church when they're living beautifully, their life is great, they're deeply present, and they have
they're singing their own songs on the sidewalk because
on the sidewalk, they're joyful.
Sing in church.
Who wants to go to the priest and ask for forgiveness? You're like, do that.
Right.
Forgive for what? What sin? There's no sin. You're full of love. Where's the sin?
Right.
But so these guys work in tandem with some of these global companies because these companies are more about money than contributing. Do you know how much food is sunk? Don't believe me. How much food is sunk in the ocean every year? You know that? How much?
Now it's thrown away. Yeah.
You know why? Because they are more concerned about profit. Too much food out there, too much production out there, too much wealth being created. They don't want that. They don't want that because it makes things cheaper, too cheap. And they don't want things to be cheap. Again, this has many ramifications. When food is cheap, so it's almost like controlled production. It's all controlled.
Yeah.
It's controlled. Otherwise, there's so much wealth, and people shouldn't believe me. Let them do their own research. Okay, if there's maximum production, food and live, this will get so cheap that there'll be so much. There's so much out there. Let me tell you, there's no need for people to be hungry anymore. There's no need.
Yeah.
There's no need. A lot of what's going on the planet Earth, there's no reason for it. It's engineered. It's called social engineering.
Yeah. All right. Well, what can we do as individuals to shift in the direction of world peace and equality?
But the most important thing is for people to find their own inner peace. That's number one.
And
Through
how will that help the planet?
Because the outer is an expression of the inner. When people haven't accessed their own inner peace, people haven't realized who they are on deep levels, they manifest it in the world. So if 1 million people can wake up and experience their own inner peace, it will change the planetary vibration.
Yeah.
It's automatic. No, no entity, nobody can stop that. When more and more people, it's almost like light, ripples of light just shining. It affects the world. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
There's nobody that can stop that. So that's for me is the primary. People to heal their inner wound. And I'm not talking about burping butterflies and farting rainbows. I'm talking about the true work of awakening, healing one's own inner child, the wounds, the hurt, the trauma, for one to heal all these things within oneself. Okay?
Yeah. And
That's very
how do people, for people who are listening and who want to take a step in that direction, what do you recommend? Like, how do people heal their inner child and their past traumas?
well, it is about being present. And that's part of what I teach, and many people are teaching it, the different ways of being present and breathing consciously, and really, really, there are yoga, meditation. There are many, many techniques that I teach. I can't share them all right now, but there are over 100 techniques that I teach, including Vipassana, the breathing techniques. I mean, how to really be in the body. That's a particular one that I teach, which is very powerful because what it does is you breathe into your hara, your belly, and then you breathe up to your sahasrara, to the top of your head. But it's a particular technique that I think I have some of them online already, but I also guide people in private sessions or in my workshops.
Do you think it's a really good idea for people to, put that they want inner peace on the top of their priority list, but that it's something that they don't necessarily do on their own? Like, it's something you can do in a community, like that inquires like joining the yoga studio or going to the meditation classes or hiring the coach or going to the spiritual healer, like actually making a move and using all of the resources and the knowledge that other people have and the help that other people have to offer them. So it's about also, going out there and taking these action steps to create that inner peace and be guided, I guess, to heal their past traumas and things like that as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All those things are very important. Yes, you're right. But the thing, as you just said, for a lot of people, it's not like priority yet. It's not like a priority for them yet. Okay, and it's partly because people have been lied to. They have been told that the way to be at peace is to get the perfect relationship or to get the perfect job, live in the right community, all those stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm not against any of those. I'm not against. Those are beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. But people are not taught from a young age in universities and colleges and in their classes that look, you can get the perfect job, you can get the perfect partner, so to speak. There's nobody's perfect, but you can get whatever you've been looking for, and you
Yeah.
will still be miserable unless you have found your own inner peace. So the more people realize that, the more they turn in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know, like Christ once said, uh, look first for the kingdom of God, and everything else will be added. It's not talking about dying and going to heaven. It's talking about the kingdom of God is using old language, which is find your own inner heaven, and
Right.
then your life falls into place. Okay,
So heaven's already inside all of us.
you just have to find it. Now there are two other aspects of to answer your question completely
Yeah.
more is because as far as I'm concerned, it's not enough to just be awake in your own inner being. That's beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's time for so-called spiritual people and people that are deep into presence to also do these two other aspects. The second thing is to educate oneself as much as possible about one's own personality type and one's tendencies, and to educate oneself about what's happening on the planet.
Yeah.
Who's in control? Who's running things? How are they manipulating all of us? I mean, trying to manipulate millions of people. To know and educate oneself and be aware of this, it is very crucial. Otherwise, a lot of spiritual people are what I will call like ostriches. They have their heads buried in the sand, thinking that they just bury, do enough, and then all the problems in the world will go away. Yes, meditate, do your yoga, heal inner child trauma. All those things are beautiful. I teach that, and I'm for that. But one also, as much as possible, to educate oneself. Who's
Yeah.
running the planet? Why? Who's controlling the money? The money. Why are there so many wars? Who's behind this war? Who are the ones making billions, fortunes?
Exactly.
Who's behind all this? Educate yourself. Be aware of it. Don't just call it conspiracy theory. Do your homework.
Yeah.
I call it a scientific approach to life. If you believe what I'm saying, you're not being scientific. If you believe what David Icke is saying, that's not being scientific. Do your own, be open-minded. Read, ask questions, research, find out.
Yeah. We have Google these days.
Yeah,
So much
Google.
knowledge.
Yeah. Don't just say it's conspiracy theory. No. Do the work. Take time. Go to lectures. Go find out. Be curious. Be
Yeah.
like a child. Open yourself. It doesn't mean it's true or false, but try to find out.
Yeah.
And the third modality is depending on your personality type, take action.
Right.
Not everybody, like I'm not a politician, I'm not going to go into politics.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. That's part of why I'm sharing this,
Yeah.
because my personality is to teach. But there are people who are more the political type. Take action, be an activist. If you're a mother, tell your children this is shared with them. You
Yeah.
know, community groups to meditate together, to take action together, to help each other's kids and children, take action.
Yeah.
Action is very important. The time for spiritual people, awakening people to not take action is gone. Now, I'm being very careful about this because, like I said, I respect individuality a lot.
Yes.
So, some personality types are more extremely introverted. If their very nature is to just be in an ashram or be away from the world, that's fine.
Yeah.
But there are people whose nature is not like that, but they're hiding.
Yeah.
But I look into you. We grow up together. I know you are most alive as a warrior. You are a politician. You are a warrior. This is your dharma. That's part of why I teach people personality types too. Because the more one knows one's type, then you can live your life in that direction.
Well, we will definitely do another podcast on these personality types as well, because I'm interested
Absolutely.
to hear more about it.
Yeah. So the Krishna is just said, if you go away, you will not wake up. That's what he told him. Well, in this battle, if you fight it in presence, if you do it in totally in deep presence, it will be your spiritual path, you will wake up. So the path of awakening has so many ways to it. That's what I call being intensely present.
Yeah.
In whatever path you've chosen, do it in deep presence.
Yeah.
And that will be your ticket to awakening. So a lot of people, they go on because they have been educated, they have been lied to or miseducated to thinking that, oh, to awaken, you have to go away from the world. Yeah, for some personality types, that might be necessary. And even for everybody, that might be necessary from time to time. 3 months there, 4 months, But there are personality types they love being in the world. They love that. That is their path. Let them do it. Take action. What I mean by that is they love to do business, to get engaged into business, to
Right.
do a podcast. They want to be like a coach. They want to be in relationships. They want to even go into politics. Why not?
Exactly. So they're a bit more extroverted.
Extroverted. Part of why I'm so happy that Marianne Williamson is running for office, because she may not win, but who cares? She is being an example.
Marianne Williamson.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so amazing. That's such good news. I had no idea.
Yeah. People are saying she may not win, but who cares? Life is not about winning or losing. It is about fully expressing yourself.
Yes.
So I'm so happy she's doing it.
Yeah. Me too.
Absolutely. Anyway, but I'm not to say everybody on this path has to do that. What I'm saying is, if you are called to that, if that's natural for you,
yeah,
go in that direction. Don't second guess yourself and be like, oh, my teacher doesn't do that. I'm not called to do that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have the self-esteem issues and the negative self-talk as well, right? So some people might use that as an excuse, like, oh no, I'm an introvert, I'll just be my own hermit and love myself in the corner. But those might be the ones who actually have the gift to lead or to guide and inspire others. So it's about, loving yourself enough to break through any of those self-doubts and those negative self-beliefs as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are people that are ambiverts. They have an introvert side, but they also have an extrovert side.
Yeah.
So people like that, they might spend 6 hours meditating. There are people that only have 3, 4 hours a day to be extroverted. That's fine. Not everybody can be out there for hours and hours. Whatever you can do, whatever is natural, just follow it. That's what I mean. Some
Yeah.
people are very introverted, that's true. But even if it's like an hour a day, even if it means to teach, even if it means to organize, whatever it is, it may be only an hour or 2 hours, just
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. I'm more like that too. I'm an extroverted introvert. So I like my time socializing, but I could not do it all day. I definitely recharge when I'm on my own.
Absolutely. It's about trusting one's nature and just
Yeah.
going with it.
Yeah.
This
And
is
about
very important.
respecting everyone's own nature as well, right? Because I feel like a lot of us today, we I guess you could call it, for people who aren't as conscious, people just have this perception that everyone is exactly like them, and what works for them will just automatically work for everyone else. And it's kind of like, no, we're all completely different individuals. Yes, we all want the same thing from life. We all want to be happiness, and we all want to feel loved, and we all want to share and give love, and just be in a beautiful, wonderful, positive state. But we are all so different on how we get there, and how we express that love, and how we feel that love, and how we take care of ourselves, and how we want to live our lifestyle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I respect, I often tell people that if there's any path, spiritual path, or any teaching that does not respect individuality, run away from it.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, in the universe, one of the most respected things in the universe is individual freedom.
Yeah.
Individual freedom. Very important.
Yeah. I
Any
agree.
teacher, any guru, any organization takes away your individual freedom, it is not in tune with the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Universe respects individuality, your own tendencies.
Yeah.
And that's why even those that are doing really messed up things, they have not been destroyed. Because universe, that's what they've chosen. It is respected. It's allowed,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's respectable. Okay, that's what you want to do. I mean, there are consequences to it, but hey, you know what I mean? That it is respected.
Yeah. Right.
And anybody that wants to enslave anybody, that wants to enslave them psychologically, spiritually, or materially, they start say, oh, sacrifice yourself for the bigger cause. It is nonsense. It is bullshit. Excuse my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't sacrifice yourself for any. If you society exists to make each individual thrive. I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about your individual spirit.
Yeah.
Wherever the society is not allowing you, any social group is not serving your individual expansion, your merging with the universe, leave that society.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a relationship or anything, if it's not serving both partners, or leave it. It's not ideal.
Exactly.
Whatever group you are in, it has to help you grow and expand and fully be yourself as much as possible.
And that's with every single thing. It's with the air you breathe, with the food you eat, with the water you drink, with the people you spend time with, the person you're in a relationship with, the bed you sleep in. Like everything is, and you can ask yourself as well, like, is this serving me? Always ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this holiday serving me? Is this trip serving me? Is this job serving me? Is my lifestyle serving me to bring me to my higher self and to elevate my soul and to bring me peace and love and joy in life?
Absolutely. I'm very, very careful about this teaching, very careful,
Yes.
because there are many people that speak this language. I mean, not you, obviously, out there, but when you hear them, they're talking about the ego, the me
Right.
too, me movement. It's not about the ego.
Right.
That's why, as I often say, this path has the core aspect is to deepen into presence, because the only way one can know oneself is to go inside. So when people say, I'm just being myself, they often are not. They're just being their ego.
Right.
You have to go deeper beyond the ego to know yourself. Otherwise, it's just me. And I mean, nothing wrong with the ego. I am not against the ego.
Yeah.
But the ego has to know who the master is. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
The paths that talk about, oh, once you awaken, the ego disappears or dies, it is nonsense.
Yeah.
You cannot survive in this dimension without your ego.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
it's true.
ego, the mind is what helps you. The ego is what helps you survive in this dimension. It just has to be mastered. One has to transcend it and be the being that's in control of it. But to be able to survive and pay your bills, drive your car, you need your mind.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why we
Otherwise,
have all these things. They are important and they do serve a purpose.
of course,
Yeah.
this dimension, I call it the third dimension. The mind knows how to navigate it. Every dimension has its tool.
Yeah.
And this dimension, the mind knows how to navigate it. It's just that one has to go to the higher dimensions in one's journey and be there. So that from that level of dimension, one controls, I don't like that word control. One is able from the higher dimension to be able to use the mind as an instrument.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Well, we don't want the mind to take over and we don't want the ego to take over. They all
That's what happens
need
on the
to
planet now.
they all need to be balanced and have a relationship with one another, and that's where yoga comes in from, and where you hear all the time, create peace with between the mind and the body and the spirit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You just said it, the balance, mind, body, spirit, all of it, they have their place.
Yeah.
Very important. The body is so important. It's very important. The mind, very important. The soul, very important. The spirit, very important.
Yeah.
They have their place.
Yeah.
And that's why I often guide and teach people in how, as one expands into the higher dimensions, for one to also be able to ground it in the body.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a lot of people have these huge awakening experiences, but they're not able to ground it in the body. Part
Yeah.
of what part of what I love about yoga and dancing. Yoga and dancing are two of the best ways, in my view, to ground the energy in the body.
Yeah.
To
I'm a big
dancing,
fan of both.
to yoga, very important. And of course, through Tantra, sacred sexuality. Those
Yes.
three are very, very important,
Yeah.
in my view. Those three. Dance, sacred sexuality, and yoga.
Yep.
Very important, all three of them. To
Yeah.
embody the energy that one can be in this world and serve and express.
And love.
Well, to me, I feel like those three express love.
Yeah.
That's why I call it sacred sexuality,
Yeah.
because it expresses love. Yoga expresses love and sacred geometry, and dance is an expression of love.
Yeah.
When people are doing yoga without it being anchored in their soul spirit, it's not yoga. It is just exercises. It's
Yeah.
gymnastics. I'm not against it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't qualify as yoga. It's gymnastics, which is not bad. It's just not yoga. Yoga, by very nature, is meant to connect one with the inner reality and to express it through movement.
Yeah, it's so true. And sometimes, like, I've been doing yoga for a few years now, and I definitely bounce back between the two. And it took me a long time to do the actual yoga, but still sometimes today I'm like, okay, I just did gymnastics. That was just exercise. And the other days I'm like, okay, that was more of a spiritual practice. So, because sometimes it's harder to, anchor in and not let the mind drift off in thoughts and really connect. Some days it's easier than others, and yeah.
Absolutely. But let me clarify something. Let me clarify something. Even working out in the gym can be a spiritual practice. Even gymnastics can be.
Yeah.
Anything. That's why I teach a lot of classes in Tantra and stuff. I teach them because part of my mission is to help people, whatever you love to do, make it a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
That's part of what, so it is how it is done. It's not really the action, it's how one does it. If
Yes.
one is doing gymnastics, you're lifting weights, you just keep breathing, it's how you move your body, it's how you're moving during the gymnastics. You breathe deeply, you bring your presence into it.
Yeah. And
So
there's passion as well.
sorry?
There can be passion as well brought into it.
Yeah. Passion is a word that I use very carefully. There's deep passion and there's just chemicals.
Right.
So I clarify between these two. Yeah, passion, yeah, I agree with you. But deep, soulful, spiritual passion, yes. To
Yeah.
bring it into it, yes. And to do it in deep presence. Then working out in the gyms become yoga. And it becomes, personally, I prefer to use the word tantra, but they mean the same thing ultimately.
Yeah.
Everything you do can be tantric. Tantra is not just sexuality. Tantra basically is doing activities, including sexuality or whatever you're doing it in deep love, doing it in deep oneness, surrender to the universe. Then that action becomes tantric.
Right. Right. Yep.
So generally speaking, yoga gives you a lot of rules. Generally, don't do this and don't, right?
Yeah.
Tantra is more like whatever is natural for you, whatever is already your nature,
Yeah.
go into it and grow through it. Go into it and grow through it. Make sense? It
Yeah.
is the part that embraces everything, generally speaking. Again, I'm being very general here. So that's again, I can say more, but I think that's good for today.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
right. Thank you so
yeah.
much for coming on the show. It was really nice speaking to you. And how can people find you on Instagram and Facebook?
Oluwa hyphen Adams hyphen Oyenuga. That's my Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to have more online presence, but it's not really my biggest strength. But I'm having a team now that's coming along to help me to do more and more of that. So I'm
Perfect.
next couple of months there'll be more videos, and but there are many retreats coming up, and I'll post them on my websites and Facebook and Instagram.
Perfect. They can find you there, and I'll link up all those in the show notes as well.
Thank you so much, Ariel. You are doing beautiful work, and thank you for to keep doing this. This is very important. I'm
Yeah.
very grateful to you to be doing this. The world needs this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Blessings, blessings. Okay. Talk to you
Thank
later.
you. Okay, bye.
Blessings.